Computer.
Hello, and welcome to the YouTube channel for GregGoddard.com. I'm Greg Goddard, and today I'm joined by a very long time friend, James Millen, who's going to talk with us a little bit about some breath work. How are you, James?
Really good, thank you, Greg. And you?
Yeah,
Friday,
going well,
right?
going well. Excited to be here with you.
Yeah,
We
cool.
you and I have a lot of experience in our life, and we have this huge opportunity today to share a little bit of our stories and particularly your breath work
Mm,
today. Hey, James, maybe just for the benefit of our viewers, I'll just introduce myself and then perhaps ask you to do the same.
sure.
Um, for our viewers, welcome. My name's Greg Goddard. I am a I'm a father of three young children. I am a lifelong sailor. I was first introduced into sailing by my father when I was about 7 years old, and I've pretty much been sailing for we'll call it about 43 years. And in that time, I've been on many, many adventures. I've delivered a yacht from England to the US. I've done a separate transatlantic crossing. I've raced at very high levels. I've had great friends around me for a long period of time and had some wonderful adventures with sailing. Uh, like you, James, I'm a corporate professional during the day, but this passion project, greggoddard.com, is one that I really feel like the time is right now for all of my experience to be expressed and shared. And it gives me a huge opportunity to bring in people like you, James, for a friendly catch up where we can share some of the insights that we have about the world and some really powerful techniques and things that people can become aware of and ultimately lead better quality of life.
Mm.
What about you, James?
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I was going to say we've had similar trajectories, but I've never sailed across the Atlantic twice. Um, what I mean by that is I'm also very fortunate to be a father of two beautiful young daughters. Um, and I'm also have been a corporate professional now for, gosh, nearly 30 years. Um, kind of bubbling around in the background. Um, I've been very fortunate with some other life experiences I've had around that. I've raced Ironman triathlon at international level. I've been a superstar DJ. Um, been on the same bill as Fatboy Slim and K Class, Danny Rampling, things like that. So that was pretty awesome little chapter. Um, and I think underneath that, I've always had a lot of curiosity about um, mind, body, our internal systems. Um, and that has kind of led me to finding and discovering breathwork and breathing. And once I found that, it became a complete, fascinating, incredible rabbit hole for me to dive down. And as a result, I've trained and qualified and become accredited as a breathwork coach. Um, Trained through Breathing Space's 400-hour program. I'm an advanced oxygen advantage instructor, and I'm accredited with the Global Professional Breathworkers Alliance. It's just a fascinating area for me, and so I feel it's something where I've gone through a lot of life experience and really kind of come into and landed into something that just lights me up. So I feel very privileged in that respect, and it's an honor to share it and have conversations like this. Let's see where we go.
Yeah, beautiful. James, I'm sort of smiling because when you say that you had this curiosity about how we are and like I think possibly one of the early sparks. I remember going back about 20 years ago, there was a couple of people around my life and a couple of things that I stepped into that became a bit of a spark for, you know what, I've been going through my life with relatively low level of awareness. And it was at that point. Do you remember when we first met, we were both at a couples retreat.
Hmm.
We went with our partners who became our wives about 20 years ago, and it was like an incredible like what I took away from that experience was like it was really like Kathy brought us back into this awareness of our energy systems, the sensations of like touching, sensing, like really being in the present moment. And for me, it was yeah, huge awareness about myself, but also like how to show up and be a really good partner in terms of, not reacting when when stuff happens, right?
Mm,
And being able to hold that space for my partner and let her feel it was a safe container
mm,
to just be herself.
mm.
Uh, what about you? Do you remember that? It was a long time ago, James, 20 years ago.
I do. I think my hair was a different color then as well. I do, and it's interesting. You're spot on, Greg. I think at the risk of rolling out cliches, in modern society today, it's so easy for us to almost cruise through on autopilot because
Mm,
there's so much happening in our lives. There's so much going on. We're being bombarded left, right, and center. And quite often we're literally going from the thing to the thing to the thing to the thing to the thing,
mm,
just on this autopilot of got to get done, got to get done, got to get through. And we can go days, weeks, months, years without just
yes.
really
Yeah.
taking a breath and just checking in as to what's really going on inside of us, as opposed to this daily grind and crash through. And it's powerful. It's really
Mm,
powerful when we just stop and take a moment because it connects us with who we are. We step out of the kind of almost like the Truman Show type
mm,
day-to-day shop window version of ourselves
yeah.
and actually start to connect with who we really are. And once we do that, then that becomes what we take into the world. It's really powerful. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've done a good job of explaining that. It's quite clumsy with words. It's something that I think and hopefully will encourage people to do today is to really feel into.
Mm, yeah. Beautiful.
Mm,
Yeah. That retreat was it was incredible for me. Like just, these ideas, these concepts about like grounding,
mm,
being in the present moment. And James, like really, maybe it was both of our first exposure to breath work because, like Kathy was very, she really sowed that seed with us that our breath and our intention can be like incredibly powerful.
mm,
And maybe we'll get into some of that other stuff maybe on another call in the
mm,
future. But
mm,
let's bring it back. So we
mm,
met 20 years ago
mm,
at a retreat, and then we
mm.
sort of, we kicked off our friendship, and then I'm not sure what happened, but we sort of went separate ways, and it was 10 years later.
Mm,
I was at a local hospital here,
mm,
going to one of these sessions about, well, what to expect when your firstborn child
mm,
rocks up, and
mm.
who do I bump into?
The workshop, the couples workshop must have been effective, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was. Mind you, it took us both a few years to get to the hospital expecting our firstborn child, but
That's right. Yeah.
that was such a spin out to see you there, and
Mm,
firstborn child for both of us is an
mm.
incredibly exciting time, and yeah, it's nervous, and like to see you guys at the hospital was pretty incredible. So and our oldest, so that was 10 years ago,
Mm,
10 nearly 11
mm.
years ago.
Yeah, our eldest were born within a couple of weeks of each other, I think, weren't they? They were actually due to
Yeah,
be born very close, but ours was comfy in her mum's tummy and decided to stay in there for a bit longer.
stay a bit longer.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, and so there was, yeah, we met 20 years ago. We sort of reconnected
Mm,
by chance
hmm
about 10 years ago. And then we disappeared to Singapore for a little
mm,
while. And when I came back, I came back by myself
mm,
initially, and and we reconnected. And you were telling me about your breath work. And
mm.
do
Yeah,
you mind me sharing a little bit about that session?
please do. It'd be great to hear from a participant's perspective.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
so James, this coincided with you going through your, did you say 400 hours
Mm,
of training?
yeah, yeah. So deep stuff. Mm,
Beautiful. So when I got chatting to James, I'm like, "Hey James, I'm coming back from Singapore. Let's catch up." And you're like, "Hey, I'm doing this breath work." Um, do you want to be one of my guinea pigs effectively?
Mm.
And you know what I'm like, you could safely ask that because
Yeah.
I'm like, sure, let's do
Yeah.
it. And so what we did is we carved out a bit of time where, a good space. My house was empty, it was quiet, there was no distractions, and it was a pretty peaceful place to just not be distracted and just follow James's lead. So you were sitting opposite me, I was laying on the couch and just guided by your breath. And I'll ask you in a minute what the actual technique was, but I remember breathing pretty heavily, pretty deeply. And it seemed to me that it was like for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I think I asked you about that at the end of the session.
Mm.
And you said to me, no, Greg, you've been down for almost an hour. So, but what I got out of that session, and it still sits with me today,
Mm.
is you took me down deep, 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 deep. Like I could feel like myself like sinking, becoming
Mm.
heavier. And then there was almost like this period where I sort of felt like my awareness of my body had sort of dropped away, like I was
Mm.
pretty deep. And I don't think I went into that session like looking for any particular answers, but I had this really powerful visualization. And the connection that I have with that visualization is that this is my perception of my higher self.
Mm.
And it was it was profound. It was like this really strong moment of calm. I'm looking at this person who I know is me.
Mm.
Like somehow deep down, I know it's me, but it's me when I'm like 70 years old. And
Mm.
I'm just sitting peacefully in front of the fire, uh, really with the same energy, like, whatever happened was going to be water off a duck's back. And it's like this calming visualization that I go to now. When things are a bit crazy,
Mm.
I'm like, I sort of visualize me as that 70-year-old tribal guy in a loincloth sitting in front of the fire, like everything's going to be okay.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, wow,
what,
that's awesome.
what do you remember from our session, James? Because it was profound for me. Um,
This is where I say I remember wanting exactly to take you there, and that to be the precise outcome, right? Um,
yeah. And,
we
and
did so
sorry,
we
sorry to interrupt, James.
no.
Do you mind maybe in reflection of my session, do you
Mm,
want to just maybe just if you can recall how you stepped me through it? Because
sure.
there was a bit of safety stuff that you brought in as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where I was actually going to head anyway. The type of breathwork session that we did. So, I mean, the way I work with breathwork is, there's two sides of the work that I do. There's a quite deep internal side, and that's kind of, as you say, lying down on a sofa, lying on a yoga mat, and really being intentional to travel inwards.
Yeah.
And the other side is stuff that you can literally do stood in the coffee queue
Yeah,
or
beautiful.
sitting in your car that has kind of instant in the moment impacts. But they obviously work on different levels. And
Mm.
the session that we did was one of the deeper ones. And we did a technique which is based on something called holotropic breath work. It's been used for about, gosh, where are we now? I have to do the math, 2020, about 60 years, really effectively in the kind of psychotherapy space.
Yeah.
It actually was developed and grew from work that was initially being done with psychedelic therapy, and the huge gains that were being made with that in the 60s, 70s. All of that then obviously got shut down overnight when psychedelics became a problem. And so um, they didn't want to let all that good work go to waste. So they were looking for ways to recreate that kind of state. And they found this particular technique of breathwork to be the most effective and most natural way of getting people into that kind of altered state. And so that's where it's developed as a practice. You
Yeah.
you you alluded to it needing to be around a safe container. That's really important
Yeah.
because you as a participant need to surrender into it.
Mm.
And that's not you at a brain level thinking, okay, I'm just going to lie down and let this go. It's you at an internal level that needs to feel safe to surrender to allow the internal channels to feel safe to open.
Yeah.
And so the way I do that is actually to invite it to not need to be anything major. I use the terminology about going for a snorkel. We can just snorkel around the edges. We're just going to dip into the beautiful ocean, go for a snorkel, and see what's down there. And it may be that something calls you down. It may be something swims up. But
Yeah.
it's just a beautiful, easy analogy. There's no pressure on anything. Um, Attachment to outcome is the best way to shut everything down. And
Yeah.
so there's a bit of framing first around that kind of safety and that kind of gentle invitation. And then we breathe in a particular way that's actually quite activating to ourselves. It's not a breathing technique that is calming
Yeah.
or designed to chill you out. Quite the opposite. It's a technique that is quite activating internally to your system.
Yeah.
But because you've assured your system that you're safe, because
Yeah.
we're led down, we're not needing to get out of danger. That activation actually opens up and starts to open up the channels in a way that allows our brain and our depths, our inner stuff to just gently start to unlock
Mm.
and dissipate that way. And that's where these messages come from. And so to hear you talk about that vision, that feeling, I mean, that's beautiful. My first feeling on hearing that though is that's not something that you went in and found.
Yeah. I
That's
wasn't looking
something that
for it.
comes up and wants to
Yeah.
show itself to you.
Yeah.
It's inside out. And that's what makes the technique so beautiful and powerful. I had a similar when I first did a session like that, I had a similar kind of experience. I think that's what hooked me into breathwork and just how powerful and amazing it was. Um,
Yeah.
and it was absolutely not anything I was looking for. It's that's the beauty. It's inside out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well, it does for me, right?
Mm.
Because, I have that firsthand experience. Um, and look, I think for me as, potentially like a client, like I would love to do this again when,
Mm.
life aligns, James. But,
Mhm.
it was a safe setting. It was my trust, like the fact that I knew you
Mhm.
and that I trusted you and we had nowhere to be
Mhm.
and we had time and space and it was
Mhm.
peaceful.
Mhm.
Um, it was very easy to just sort of sink quite deep with
Mhm.
that. But the other thing, James, you mentioned at the start when you introduced yourself that you've been a top-notch DJ.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the fact that you brought in all of this different music and it was like such a curated music to complement. You were sharing with me afterwards, I was choosing songs that were reflective of where you were at and where I wanted to lead you in the session.
Mm.
Yeah, that was talk about
Mhm.
who was it? Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs talks about believing that at some point in your life, all of your history is going to come together and culminate into something incredible.
Mm.
I, you and your breath work and your DJ skills was like, there you go, Steve. He'd be like,
Yeah,
tip of the hat to you, James.
that's right. Big green tick. Yeah, thanks, Greg. And I mean that means a lot to hear, so thank you. Um, and B, it's for that kind of journey, it's an important part
Mm,
because it feeds into what I was just talking earlier about really surrendering and letting yourself go.
yeah,
And if you're in that position and you have someone talking to you, giving you instruction for the whole 30, 45 minutes, an hour,
yeah,
it's going to be parts of your brain that's never going to let go of listening to that instruction and feeling that you need to act on it.
mm,
Am I hearing it right? Am I doing the right thing? What did he say? It's that's what our brain does.
yeah,
And so if you can step away from that and be guided by music, particularly some kind of instrumental music or something that again doesn't give your
mm,
brain too much to latch onto, that can be a really powerful way of just steering the trajectory of your journey. So
yeah,
because it's quite an activating breathe as well.
yeah,
What I mean by that is the technique is largely inhale focus. So I was getting you to go so literally drawing inhales in and
hmm,
then like a balloon and then just letting it go rather than breathing out. So
yeah,
um, you're wanting to do that to really get the oxygen in and moving. And
Yeah,
so if you've got music to help you to lift you up, to get your system going, and then at times that's when I start to feel how you're doing energetically. We might just plateau a bit and take it
yeah,
up again. We might want to drop it down a bit to come back up. Um, as I say, it's a really powerful way that our system can react to that gently rather than having somebody yelling instructions in your ear.
yeah. No, I think you did it really well, and I think part of the ability for me to let go in that session was about you. You also, I call it a caution, but I think what you said to me at the start was a very, reassuring look. If things start to feel a bit prickly, if you end up sort of sinking into a place where you're like, you're uncomfortable and you're backing it out, you want to back out, like, don't panic.
Mhm,
Like you said, look, I'll be able to see it
mhm,
and just follow my voice and I'll lead you out of it, right? So
mhm,
that we don't end up in some sort of shock
mhm,
situation where
mhm,
we've gone deep, 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 deep. We've
mhm,
seen something that we're freaking out about and
mhm.
like being at the bottom of the ocean, just desperately wanting to get to the surface.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
yeah,
a great analogy, and that's exactly the kind of safety net that needs to be built around you. I mean, that's why it's important for anybody who's doing this kind of session to do it with a trained and qualified professional.
yeah,
Um, yeah, absolutely. Both me watching and being there, and also as part of the way I teach you the technique in the moment and guide you through it, I will also give you ways to step down.
yeah,
Always a way to kind of gently engage the brake. Yeah,
yeah,
that's really important. So again, it's really good that you recall that as being an important part of the framing of the session. Thanks.
yeah,
That's definitely a win.
yeah. I think for anyone watching, you and I chatting today, um, my experience with you was quite profound.
Mm,
I
mm,
think I went into it with a very open mind. I wasn't anxious. I didn't really have any attachment to the need for a particular answer about
mm,
anything.
mm,
And the fact that, I trusted you. We had a quiet space. We had not really any time limits,
mm,
no tangible time limits.
mm,
And it overall led to a profound experience. And I
mm,
think, James, and let me know what you think, but I
mm,
think for anyone else who's watching this who's curious about a similar experience, um, our thing here is really just to bring your awareness to it. Um, like not everyone will be able to access your services, James,
mm,
but you're in the process of setting up down in the southwest of Western Australia.
mm,
Um, but I guess my caution is don't go and Google or chat GPT, how to get into deep meditative
mm,
states through aggressive breathing. Um, because all of those controls and all of those things that supported me having a great outcome
mm.
need some care in curating those
They
as enablers to a great outcome.
they do absolutely.
Can't force it, right? You're
Yeah,
going to be in trouble
absolutely.
if you try and force it.
100%. It's part of the process, and as you've said, an important part of the process.
Mm.
Um, to contain it safely, to for your system to be able to trust to open.
Yeah,
Um, in terms of accessibility for these kind of things, I'm going to hopefully start soon, maybe doing some online sessions,
yeah,
which I'll make
beautiful.
free and accessible to people. The school that I train through actually offer regular free 1 hour online sessions as part of the kind of teaching of new teachers. And so
Beautiful.
it's they're always free. I can drop a link into our notes from this session when we post it to that. Um, and yeah, although it's new teachers training, it's supported by a school doing it, and it's free online access sessions. So yeah, it's out there. But if
Yeah,
anybody's
beautiful.
interested, I'm sure we'll talk later about how we can reach out. I'd love to to answer any questions anybody's got with that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, James.
Mm,
Um, yeah, we'll share our details towards the end of the session. But
mm.
where do you want to go next? It feels like we've got so much to talk about, James.
Yeah. maybe touch on should we touch on the other side of breathing? We've talked about
Mm.
these really deep kind of things that we can get into. And as I
Yep.
mentioned earlier, there's the other side. There's literally kind of in the moment um, breathing techniques, which I'm really interested in. I'm starting to do work in the corporate space, going into helping people in a work environment who often feel stressed, overwhelmed,
Okay.
anxiety, that
How
kind
about this for an idea, James?
of.
Um, what about if, because some of our audience will be familiar with the breath work
Mm,
um, that others online are sharing,
mm,
and I guess the more prominent personalities are like Wim Hof.
mm-hmm,
We also have Dr. Gary Brecka
mm-hmm,
is he's speaking about similar techniques.
mm-hmm,
So I guess, like when I think about these things, I think about the curated experience with a professional like yourself.
mm-hmm,
We have other practices that we can learn from people like yourself.
mm-hmm,
And there'll be other people influenced by, Dr. Gary Brecker
mm-hmm,
and Wim Hof that can be either a daily or a couple of times a week type
mm-hmm,
practice.
mm-hmm,
And then there's probably the ones like you said before, where you
mm-hmm.
can do it standing in the queue at the coffee shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Would you
absolutely.
mind just maybe just take me through, what people might be aware of?
Yeah, sure.
Um, Maybe if
Yeah.
you could link up those things. I think we
Yeah.
covered the first one really well.
Yeah, no,
That
that's
was,
all right. That sounds great. That sounds a great framework and makes a lot of sense. So let's do it. Um, the kind of important context or background to set all of this in is that what we're doing with our breath and why breath work is so powerful and our breathing is so powerful is that it's the only core bodily system that we have that we can take control of at any time. So it operates in the background for us. We breathe
yeah,
20,000 times a day. Thankfully, it does it automatically. If we had to think about every 20,000 breath, it's going to get in the way
yeah,
of a lot of stuff. But at any time, we can take over and manual override. None of us were around at the design stage, but this doesn't seem to be a coincidence. And where it all comes into is linking into controlling our nervous system. Now, there are two sides to our nervous system. Um, what's called the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The best way of that is the sympathetic nervous system is what we know as fight or flight.
yeah,
So that's when we're triggered, anxious, our nervous system is up, sensing danger, absolutely,
yeah,
survival instinct, ready to get the hell out of Dodge if we need to. Our parasympathetic nervous system is the other side, the rest and digest side. This is this is relaxed, chill, under control, calm.
mm,
And what breathing does incredibly well, and I'm not just saying this, there's incredible research out of places like Stanford that have really looked into and started putting metrics around this with kind of wearable devices monitoring. What breathing does better than anything else is help us to take control of moving in between those states. And so benefit that that brings is that when we're in that situation that I mentioned earlier, modern life, things happening to us left, right, and center, we're
yeah,
no longer being yanked around by our nervous system. We're no longer having to live with our nervous system constantly having us up like this. We can actually get in and take control of this and say, hey, I understand that you're bothered,
mm,
but
yeah,
I'm the adult in the room here. There's no saber-toothed tiger walking past. It's just an email.
yeah,
You know, the tree's not going to fall down on the house. Phone's just gone. That's all it is. And we can start to see that for what it is, and then have the tools to actually get in and bring our system down, which is incredibly powerful. And so the reason I set out that context is because those types of different breathing techniques and methods that you spoke about fit across that divide in slightly different ways, and that's what separates them.
James.
So,
James, if I can interrupt,
yeah, please.
you had a beautiful analogy about some animals, like a zebra or
Mm.
something on the savannah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Thanks, Greg, for reminding me. That's it's a really helpful way of thinking about it. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, the analogy I've shared with you before is the kind of box on the African savannah. that you might see in a David
Just
Attenborough.
Springboks,
Yeah, or
like a deer, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
Um, you might see in a David Attenborough type documentary. And what tends to happen is they'll be grazing as a herd, chomping away on the grass, minding their own business on a Tuesday afternoon. And one of them will sense a lion or a threat or a predator come over the horizon. And you see the whole pride go like that. You literally see them tense. And they will do that on an inhale, like I just did,
Yeah.
tense. And they are primed, ready to, that's them straight into literally fight or flight. And they
Mm,
are primed like a coiled spring, ready to get the hell out of Dodge if they feel the lion comes.
mm,
And what happens from there is literally binary for them. They either do that, they either put that energy into going and running for their lives, survival instinct,
mm.
or they actually sense that no, it's not a threat after all. And what they do then is just go straight back to eating the grass. They're just instantaneously down
Yeah.
again. And that's the difference with us in a modern society. We very often sense the threat. We're often up
Yeah.
like this, but
Yeah.
we literally go from one to the other to the other. Another email ping has gone in. Somebody's called on the phone. Shit, I've got to do the shopping on the way home from work.
Yeah.
Where did I even park the car? We
Yeah.
we we rarely get the come down. And again, that's another area where being able to recognize that we're in that state and then having the tools to take us down is just game changing.
Yeah. You're so right. Like I think most people, probably anyone watching this is going to be able to relate. Like the pace of life. You alluded to it earlier.
Mm,
Like it's bang, bang, bang. And we can often be on autopilot
mm,
in this stressed mode,
mm,
like for our lives.
mhm. Yep.
And I think this is what's so incredible about, what you're sharing with us today.
Mm,
What I'm hoping to achieve on my side is helping people to get much greater awareness. So when you can step in, when you can be in that space where something happens and you're consciously aware of I've just been triggered
mhm,
because somebody's sent an email and at a deep, deep level beyond the email, it's threatening me because I feel like I'm not enough,
mhm,
like whatever people's triggers may be.
mm,
And then we get into this sort of response and that becomes our life, right? We're
mhm,
all jacked up on cortisol. We're
mhm,
flatlining at this stressed fight or flight
mhm.
mode.
Yep.
And then we have this other phenomenon of, just getting normalized to the condition of the day, whether it's,
Mhm,
behaviors at work or
mhm,
whatever it is. I think we can all get normalized to
mhm,
just being life is stressful and I'm hustling and, I'm in that fight or flight. But
mhm,
I think with what you're sharing and what I'm sharing on my
mhm,
side, there's tools and there's ways to catch it and go, I'm triggered or I've been activated
mhm.
and I'm going to manage the situation using some techniques.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, it's a thing. This isn't just a concept that both you and I and other people who may be listening that can relate to it think, yeah, I get that. It's actually a thing. There's a thing called email apnea. And again, this has been studied. And this is the concept. And the study showed that well over 70%, so approaching 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5, office workers, corporate workers suffer from this. And
Mm,
this is when we're typing away or doing work. We're actually holding our breath to the extent that we're going into apnea because we have that so little self-awareness, so much
mm,
focus on dealing with what's in front of us. We're literally doing
yeah.
that. Um, Maybe we'll come back and touch on that again in a little bit because I used to suffer from that myself, and it wasn't until somebody pointed it out
Yeah,
to me
you and
that
me both, James.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this is just such great framing and context for the breathwork techniques because, as you say, there's a bunch of really small in the moment techniques which I use and find incredibly powerful that can deal with you in that
Yeah.
state and help you out of it very, very quickly. And then there's also a kind of mid-range of techniques, and that's the Wim Hof Gary Brecka stuff that you were mentioning about that
Mm,
you wouldn't necessarily use in that moment. but you can use in the background almost as like training at the gym to help you become your system become more resilient
Yeah.
when it encounters these kind of stressful situations during the day. So that's the kind of difference between them. You've got a set of breathing exercises, and we'll give a couple of examples, I'm sure, where you can it's in the moment and you can react and it will be effective in calming you.
Mm.
And then, if you make the analogy of going to the gym, you have these other techniques that do it is effectively like doing high intensity training.
Yeah.
You might do once or twice a week. And what they're doing in the background is building the resilience, the bandwidth of your system, our nervous system, to be able to cope with these changes. And that's the kind of difference with them. So yeah, the Wim Hof Gary Brecka stuff, it's awesome. Um, but the techniques themselves are again actually quite activating and stressful for our system. And I think
Yeah.
this is a misconception that's out there, particularly with the Wim Hof method. A lot of people use it in the belief that it's a calming, stress controlling method.
Mm.
It isn't. In the moment, it's actually a stress inducing method. The way it works is that you put your body into this stress and then you allow it to relax. And that, as I say, that helps you then build resilience during the day to when you encounter stress. It kind of the same as having a 5 minute shower, cold shower. So if you
Yeah.
stand under the hot water for and enjoy a shower and then flick it onto the full cold water for the last 30 seconds, what does
Yeah.
your body do?
Yeah.
If you can start to breathe normally, regularize your breathing in that cold water shock,
Yeah.
breathe your way through it, help your body stay calm, you're
Mm.
finding kind of, calm in the chaos, comfort
Yeah.
in the discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the training that you're doing for when then you get more stress during the day. You've kind of got that kind of background of training of, oh, there's that feeling again. I'm getting stressed. Okay,
Mm.
I know I've got this. I can breathe through this. So that's the kind of distinction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, James, we've sort of we've veered off on a little bit of a tangent, but this is all gold stuff. I loved it when you first shared this stuff with me. I think you were talking about in the past, you were talking about creating this greater range on
Mm, mm.
um, what are the words I'm looking for? You were saying something like when you breathe in, your heart rate accelerates, and then
That's right. Yeah. So it's
coherence, is that?
yeah,
No,
absolutely. So
what
it's
are we
it's
talking about?
it's around it's around something called heart rate variability
That's
or
it.
HRV.
Right.
And this is again linked to our breathing taking us right into our nervous system, right into our bodily functions.
Yeah.
And our breathing actually being linked to our heartbeat directly. So as you rightly remember, I'll take that as a credit to my my
Yeah.
explanations. When we breathe in, our heart rate goes up.
Yeah.
It's directly linked, and we can try this. If you just take a big breath in and hold it at the top and let it go, you will have you. We both did this,
Yeah.
and you feel your body being tense, and you can almost start to feel your heart coming in into your throat.
Mm.
There's actually physiology around when you breathe in, it makes the space for your heart smaller, but that's we don't need to go into that depth of
Yeah.
thing. We just need to know that it's absolutely linked. And when we breathe out, the opposite happens. We just by exhaling, we slow our heart rate down. So again, if you take it just from wherever you are, take a nice long, gentle exhale. You might already just have the sensation just from that long exhale of feeling calmer
Mm.
because you've literally slowed your heart rate down. And just in that little moment, that sent a signal to your body to say, heart rate slowing, we're calm, we've got this. It's instantaneous. And so the more you can create that range between heart rate going up, stress, for want of a better word, sometimes
Yeah.
good stress, but nevertheless stress. So
Yeah.
heart rate coming down,
Yeah. On the
calm.
exhale.
The bigger that range, that kind of bandwidth, and that's what's called heart rate variability, which is becoming a really important metric in healthcare and sports monitoring, all that kind of stuff. The more resilient your system is, because the more the more room you have to go from being in a stress state, which again is a normal thing, to actually coming back down and being in control. If that range is very narrow, you can imagine your heart rate literally boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
bouncing along like that. So the very clear difference is if you're next to somebody and they're breathing really deeply and gently and softly, and you're next to somebody going,
Yeah.
which one are you going to ask the important question to? Which one are you going to
You okay?
select? Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, um, that's the difference. So that's why it's really important to be able to kind of, internally develop this range. And coherence breathing that you mentioned, that's a technique that's really gets into that. So that's slowing your breath down to about 6 breaths a minute.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's a really gentle balancing breath to really kind of expand that range.
Okay. All
Mm.
right. So what I'm hearing from this is that through training using more purposeful techniques, where when perhaps when you start your day a few times a week,
Hmm.
you can create greater variability,
Hmm.
you've got greater range
Yep.
in your heartbeat
Hmm.
from inhale to that exhale and really letting go. Like that range is going to open up, and
Yep.
that's going to create um, the ability to cope with situations as they occur and be stressful, but also allow you to sink and like you talked about
Mm.
the Springboks or the
Mm.
Dio,
That's
like
right.
it's on or off,
Mm.
and there's very little,
Mm.
that yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. It's so beneficial for us. There was two big medical studies that were done over 30 years, um, and they both found the same thing, which is that the most reliable biological indicator of a natural long life is not genetics, it's not exercise, it's not diet, it's breathing capacity and lung capacity. For this reason,
mm,
because our breath is linked into our heart system, our nervous system so directly, if you've got a good, healthy, natural, calm, controlled breathing pattern, then you're putting your system under less stress. If you're breathing like this
yeah,
all the time, it's like driving with a handbrake on. Just think
yeah,
about that, just that raw energy that it's taking to sustain that.
yeah.
It's so powerful.
All right, beautiful. So,
Mm,
so James, just bringing it back to this framework that we had. So there's the
mm,
deeply kind of, meditative kind of, my
yep.
experience with you the first time.
Hmm.
There's the training that you can do
Hmm.
using techniques like Wim Hof and
Yep.
and Dr. Gary Brecka. But
Yep.
also, I'm guessing that you teach those techniques as well.
I do, absolutely. Yeah, and I do. And an important thing for me, I only teach things that I use myself, that I know work. That's a really
Okay.
important value to me. I don't just teach something because it's cool. I teach things that I know work and that I use. And I do at least one, if not two, kind of Wim Hof style um, breathing sessions a week.
Okay, beautiful. And
Mm.
that's helping you with that heart rate variability.
That's right. Yep.
And
Yep.
then I guess out of that sort of space where you can very, be purposeful with,
Hmm.
breathing to create that
Hmm.
variability, we then need to sort of talk about in the heat of the moment, right? You're
Yeah.
about to go into a big
Yep.
presentation. Some news is broken in the office about a project that you've got some influence over that's all negative. Like
Hmm.
just
Yep.
it's on.
Yep.
How
Yep.
do we
Absolutely.
how do we pull ourselves out of that situation so that we can like really clearly see the situation for what it is,
Hmm.
be able to make a calm, informed um, decision, if you like, about what are the important next steps. We
Mm.
can't do that from that fight or flight. Like you're looking to hide under your desk in comparison, right?
Absolutely. And Greg, that's a really important insight and something that often gets overlooked. It's why often, particularly in a workspace, people feel really triggered and anxious and out of control.
Mm,
They don't have control because what's happening is their internal system, our nervous system, is doing exactly what it's designed to do and has been amazing at all through human evolution, which
yeah,
is to protect us and
yeah.
keep us alive. It's sensed a threat
Mm,
and is priming us to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
But the situation that we happen to find ourselves in 2025 is that the threat is, as you say, a sudden deadline that's been brought forward or
Mm,
a piece of news that's come in.
mm.
You may be sat in a meeting room. You can't just get out and get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'd love to, perhaps, but often we can't. But our system doesn't know that. And our system is telling us that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. And you can
Yeah.
imagine that kind of that tension. And
Mm.
so what we're trying to do is I think I mentioned earlier, just bring in a bit of control over that and be able to say to our system, no, it's okay. We're here. We can work our way through this. We've got this. And the most effective way of doing this is gentle, slow exhales or gentle, slow exhale focused breathing techniques. Mainly for the reason I spoke about earlier, because when we exhale, that slows down the beat of our heart,
Mm.
slows down our system, sends that message around that we're safe. And because we're doing it, our system picks up that we're the adult in the room, we're taking control.
Yeah.
And so that's why it can be done so quickly because we can intervene and come over the top of that. So, what do I mean by that, and what does that look like? Well, the most obvious way is to, or easiest, quickest way is just to a gentle, slow exhale as if you're breathing out through a straw. So and you might even just, as I say, just feel just doing that once, your system slow
Yeah.
down. Now
Yeah.
you might be thinking, why aren't we going like we're often told to do, take a breath, right? And that's what everybody does. Because a big exhale actually blows off carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is not the waste gas that we were taught it was at school. Carbon dioxide is actually really, really relevant and powerful and useful for our bodies. What we're
Yeah.
doing when we're breathing is not breathing oxygen, blowing out carbon dioxide. We're breathing in oxygen, regulating carbon dioxide. We want to keep a degree of carbon dioxide in our system. Why? Because carbon dioxide is a dilator.
Mm.
It acts when it's in our bloodstream, it dilates, it opens our blood vessels. So it actually helps the oxygen pump around and it actually helps the oxygen get out of the blood and into our muscles and into our brain. It's almost like the catalyst. It's like our oxygen is going around on buses on a transport network, but it can only get off the buses if there's enough carbon dioxide to actually open the door and let it out. That's the
Right.
best analogy I can use. It's something called the Bohr effect. It was discovered, gosh, 1905, 1906, I think. This is not new stuff. But as I say, it just gets lost in translation, and we're taught that carbon dioxide is something that we need to get rid of. No.
Yeah.
So the more that we can breathe out, slowing our heart rate down whilst retaining carbon dioxide, that's the goal. That's the win. And so when I see people in sports going before they're about to take a big kick or something, I go, no, 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 no. Because by the they're just closing everything
Yeah.
up. So yeah, a really gentle exhale. And as I say, the most helpful way to do that, if this is new to you, is as if you're breathing through a straw. Then there's a couple of techniques that we can use that kind of incorporate that, that have been supported by science and the research at Stanford, that kind of thing, to show that they work really well. And we'll do them together. The first is something called a physiological sigh. And so what we do is
Right.
sigh, yeah, S-I-G-H.
Ah.
But
Okay.
um, we take a kind of breath in through the nose up to about two-thirds full, pause, and then top up, and then it's that long, gentle exhale through a straw. So again, it looks like this. It's an inhale through the nose, pause, top up, and I've obviously just exaggerated a little bit, but that's
Yeah.
what we're doing. That has been shown by research to be over 50% more effective than 20 minutes of meditation in
Right.
changing your system, changing your state of your nervous system instantly.
So what with through one cycle,
Yep, yep,
one cycle.
yep. That's how effective it is.
Wow.
Not just more effective than 20 minutes of meditation, over 50% in terms of what's going on in our system. It's just amazing. And that's all it takes.
Yeah, James, I must admit, I've heard about this. I've heard about half of this technique. This is
Mm,
why it's so brilliant to have you like chatting with me because, you're in this space. I've
mm,
heard about other people through other programs that I've done
mm,
where we talk about taking that breath in
mm,
and then that last little sip
mhm.
and then letting it go. But I think what you're alluding to is like the finishing step is imagine you're breathing through a straw and
That's
just
right.
letting that breath go really slowly.
That's
So
right. Yeah. Yeah. Really, really, rather than squidging the balloon, you're
yeah.
just letting it dissipate. And as I say, the importance of that is to try and maintain that balance of carbon dioxide.
Okay, so in summary, it's a breathe in 2/3 and then top up, and then imagine you're just gently breathing out of a straw, so a really slow exhale.
That's right. Yeah.
So for anyone like in one of these panic situations,
Mm-hmm.
something's just happened,
Mm-hmm.
the hospital's just called about your kid,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be, it's
Mm-hmm.
like we can just,
Yep. Absolutely. Can do it anytime, anywhere for free. Don't need anything else other than your
I love that.
and as I say, supported by science, so effective. As I say, I've spoken about why the breath out for the carbon dioxide is so important.
Mm,
Just quickly, what's happening in case anybody's wondering with the why you stop and then you inhale again for that little top up. Are the alveoli, all the little sacs around our lungs that look like cauliflowers,
yeah,
probably aware of from the textbooks. They're actually full of liquid mucus. And so what happens is they sometimes stick together, like a balloon does when it gets wet on the inside.
yeah, yeah.
And so if we do that little pause and then that pops them open. So it
Okay.
actually allows a bigger surface area of oxygen to come in, which you then have to be able to really let go of with that exhale. So that's why you do the little pause and the top up. But yeah, as I say, if I was going to put that into practice, my immediate reaction when I feel stressed and triggered, as you say, the phone call would be first straight away get onto a gentle exhale.
Yep. Okay.
Really come in over the top of our system, wanting to go like this.
Yep.
I mean, and we can do that straight away. If your phone was ringing now, and
Yep.
just do this with me, go and imagine you're answering the phone in that state. And now go and you answer the phone in that state. Which of those two is going to put you in a
Yeah.
better state to deal with whatever comes? It's
Yeah. It's not perfect, but it's a hell of a first step to like just getting.
Yep,
It's a hell of a step down, right? From the
absolutely. Yep. Yep.
to okay, I'm here and
That's right.
I know I can drag myself
Yep. And that's
further
just
deep.
that immediate intervention that we can bring in straight in that moment. So a nice, gentle, long exhale like that, and
Yeah.
then drop into just a couple of those physiological sights.
Mm.
And that will send all of those messages around your system that we don't need to worry about fight or flight. We've got this.
Yeah, beautiful.
Um, and then perhaps I'll share one more technique with you if I can.
Yeah, I think I think that's a great idea to share
Mm,
that, James. Like you've really given us like a good understanding about, how our bodies work
mm,
and how our breath can affect things. So
mm.
you've got another technique?
Yeah, again, very simple, just like that you can use anytime, anywhere. Nobody needs to know that you're doing it. And I often use this just before I start presenting something. Literally as I'm walking onto the stage or walking into the front of the room or something. It's that subtle. And
Yep.
it's this easy. We're hopefully most of the time breathing through our nose. That's something we should all aim to do.
Yep.
And at any time in that cycle, just exhale through your nose. And when you get to the bottom of the exhale, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then come back to breathing through your nose again. And try and get back to a regular breathing as quickly as you can. So it's an in, out, regular. At the bottom of the exhale, we hold for
Just hold.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're trying to get back into a nice gentle inhale and exhale.
Do you repeat that hold of like for 5 counts a few times?
Yeah, I would do that 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And again, that's all it takes. And again, what
So-
what what we're doing there is you're because you know the hold's coming, you've
Yeah.
got intention around doing that. That naturally lets you exhale gently into it because the exhale into it becomes intentional. The
mm,
hold at the bottom, again, sends a message to our system that we're in control. A breath hold is a really quick way of interrupting our natural breathing rhythm, hitting that manual override, we're in
yeah,
control.
yeah,
The hold is gentle. It takes you out of your head. It's really, really difficult for your mental chatter to keep going when you're breath holding.
yeah,
Brings you out of your head and into your body just for a moment, just enough.
mm,
And then to gently come back into controlled breathing rather than that's probably a sign that you've held too long. And again, that's
okay,
stress. But just to come back in. And again, as I say, it's silent, it's subtle. Nobody needs to know you're doing it. But again, probably bang for your buck in terms of
mm,
simplicity and easiness as well. That's the one. And you can practice this anywhere. You can, like I say, you can practice it in the coffee queue.
yeah,
I play a game I work in one of the office, my day job is in one of the office blocks in Perth when I go there. Every time I get into the lift, I breathe out and hold and play the game and see if I can keep the hold until the lift opens at the top. It's just things like you can game it and have fun with it. But
yeah,
again, it's
beautiful.
just so powerful and beneficial.
I love that, James. So there's hopefully from this chat, people can maybe become more mindful of
Mm,
when they are triggered and they need to intervene.
mm,
And then you've just given us like two beautiful techniques. The first one
mm,
around two-thirds full,
hmm.
top up, and then through the straw.
That's
And,
it.
and then the second one is
Mm.
around, um,
The 5 second breath hold. So just
yeah, the
exhale
slow
through your nose.
exhale, hold for 5 counts,
Hmm.
gentle breath in,
Hmm.
gentle breath out, and
Yep.
hold for five, and doing that a
Hmm.
couple of times.
Yep.
Yeah, that's profound stuff. I hope these are like valuable takeaways that people can put into practice. I love that
Mm.
it's free, it costs nothing, right? But
Can't
we're
leave your
just
breath at home.
bringing, you're right, we're just bringing some awareness to like some tools that we can use through deep knowledge of how the body and the mind work to be able
Yeah.
to create a calmer space for people to go about their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's really important. There's often a perception that breath work's a bit kind of woo-woo and alternative and out there, and you need to take your yoga mat to work and all this kind of stuff. No, you can just do those techniques, as I say. Nobody needs to know you're doing them. Do it anywhere, and
Yeah.
that you're still having a big, big difference internally.
That's beautiful, James. Hey, James, I think we've covered a lot
Mm,
in our time together.
mm,
Um, I hope that you and I will get together and maybe we can go into this breath work a little bit further and we can demonstrate these techniques a little bit in a different setting. But
yeah, sure.
yeah, it's been brilliant
Mm,
the opportunity to chat with you today.
mm,
James, how maybe we can just let people know how that they can contact us. I'll
mm,
put some details in the video
mm,
description,
mm.
but I'll just if I can share my screen,
Yeah, go for it.
I'll just take you over to a couple of sites.
Mm,
The first one is my site, and both you and I are in this space, James, where we're finding our way
mm,
and seeking to share, what we have with our audience.
mm,
I recently created GregGoddard.com. My mission here is to help cultivate awareness of mind,
mm,
protect and grow your wealth, and build a life of lasting meaning.
mm,
And on my site, I get into a few things, but really my philosophy here is that it's really difficult to take big decisions unless you've really got a deeper awareness of your mind and you've really got, more control over how you see the world, how you see yourself in
mm,
the world, and you're able to respond in a way that um, brings you back to that calm, comforted place. So James, very recently, before we leave my site, I
mm,
uh, I prepared a blog. This one here called Freedom of Mind. It's a gentle reflection of three books that I think have profoundly affected the way that I see myself in the world.
mm.
Um, so people can go and check that out. And I won't get into my other aspects of the site. That it's not really pertinent to what we're doing here, but um, I think really from that mindset, from a clear mindset, we can then take we can see things more clearly. We can see the environment that we're in.
Mm.
We can see. what money printing is doing and inflation and take some steps accordingly. But really, the first step is around awareness of mind and having some controls to get us back in our happy place.
Mm.
So let's flick to your site. This
Mm.
is james-millen.com. James, anything you want to share about this? Is there an opportunity to contact you through this page?
There sure is, absolutely. So yeah, thanks, Greg. Again, I'm just in the process of building this, getting structure around what I do, and how I can help, and starting to build some content in there that people can come to. Um, but in the meantime, yes, as you is
There
coming there.
you
There's a way to reach me directly through that. That's probably the best way, because as I start to, as I say, hopefully do some online sessions and things like that, all of that will be posted through the website. So yeah, that's james-millen.com. Stick it in your favorites, and the content will flow. It's something I need to get better at myself. Growth
Yeah,
mindset.
beautiful. James, you and I, I'll stop sharing now, but you and
Mm.
I are in that same space, right? And the way I approach it is that I see that through my life experience and yours, we have, we've faced a number of challenges professionally. We've been partners in relationships, we've been fathers, we've been sons, we've been grandsons, we've been uncles. All of this stuff is kind of now coming together. So what I hope to achieve with my site is that really we build a tribe of like-minded people where I'm not pretending to hold all the answers. I feel like I'm some way down my journey. So if there's any comments about this video, stuff that you liked, stuff that you think that we could have covered, please share in the comments section. James and I want to contribute value to the world.
Yeah,
And
thanks, Greg.
yeah,
Yeah,
James, any parting words before we wrap up?
I think just to echo that sentiment. I mean, that's awesome. Thank you. And God, we need a bit of that in the world at the moment, don't we? Huh? I think, I mean, where that lands for me is that everything I've spoken about today, as I think I mentioned, this is all stuff I do myself.
Mm,
It's all stuff that I know works.
yeah,
Um, I and that's really important to me. Um, so if anybody's got any questions, or wants to dive a bit deeper, ask some awkward science questions around it, please do. I'd be really, really happy to help. But I'm not, I mean, I guess I think what I'm saying is I'm not affiliated to any of these particular methods.
mm,
I teach the methods that I believe work,
yeah,
and that's really important. So yeah, thanks, Greg, for having me on. It's been such a pleasure and a privilege to share this kind of thing. Um, and yeah, I'd love to do it again sometime.
yeah, beautiful. All right, well, we'll certainly make that opportunity happen. And James, like for you and I both stepping in, we're both similar age, and we're both now taking these steps to be more visible in the world. And
Mm.
it's been my great pleasure to have you on and call you my friend.
Mm.
All right, James,
Thank
beautiful
you.
mate. Let's wrap it up and thank you for everyone who's watching this, and especially if you've been able to take away something of value to help make your day and your life a little bit easier. All right, have a great day.
Beautiful.
Thanks,
Appreciate it,
James.
Greg. Thank you.